Hello guys, this is Panzer36. Today's video is going to be a review on these, and this is something that a lot of people have been asking me about. It's been kind of a low murmur in the hobby community for probably at least a year now. These are Friulmodel metal tracks. Essentially they're very similar to everyone's favorite Friulmodel tracks, except they're made by this brand called Friulmodel from China. Now, first of all, you can only get these, as far as I can tell, the only place you can ever buy these is from Friulmodel's eBay page, and they're shipped to you from China on a slow boat. I basically got a couple sets because I wanted to hear what all the fuss was about, and I'm going to do a little review on them. Now, first of all, I want to say that they're cheaper than Friul's, at least where I live in Canada. If I want to get a set of Friul metal tracks, it's probably going to cost me about 70 is the extreme, but 60, 70 Canadian dollars, including the shipping costs. That's Canadian dollars, so that's probably, I don't know, like 45, 50 US dollars roughly. And these are about, I think these were 45 Canadian dollars shipped. And also you can get this. Now these are, I believe they're like CNC machined or some kind of, whatever, I don't know how they make them, but they're track pins. And they're supposed to go with these tracks. Now, when I put this together with the KV tracks, it was about the same price altogether as a Friul, because there's also a Friul KV set on eBay, and that was basically the same price as these together. Now, otherwise, they'll give you a set of, or a spool of wire, as you would get in Friulmodel tracks, but you probably want to go for these, because Friulmodel tracks, usually you know that basically you have to put a wire in one way, but it's like a one-way hole. You can't put the wire in the opposite way because they've molded a pin head on one side of the track. These have no pin head, so you have to, I mean, this stuff could work, this stuff does work, but you're going to end up with basically, the pin's not going to probably fall out, but you're not going to have the detail on either side of the track. So these go really well with it because you can basically jam them in both sides of the track, and then you get actually, one end is a pin head and one end's the cotter pin, so you actually get like all the realism. So I want to show you what I have first of all. These are the early Panzer III, Panzer IV style tracks. So they're the, as I say, 36, which are actually 38, and then the wider ones are 40 centimeter tracks. These are for early Panzer III, Panzer IV. I bought these for a Dragon Panzer III, or I think it's Panzer IV I have sitting around I'm going to build eventually. Haven't actually looked at those very much. What I've been focusing on are these KV tracks. Like I said, these were a lot cheaper than the Friulmodel tracks I could have also bought on eBay. And then when I added the pins to them, it was roughly the same price. So these are for KV, and basically you end up with a bag inside. I've already opened it up, but you end up with a bag inside. There's only one bag because these tracks aren't handed because they're just KV tracks. Like some tanks actually have unique tracks per side, but there's just a bag of tracks in there. And then they also did give me, I believe they gave me the wire as well in this one, but I'm not going to use it because I'm going to use these. Now the pins here, these are for a bunch of tanks. It's all Chinese, but I don't know everything here, but there's Panther, Tiger, KV, and IS. You can see KV and IS pretty clearly there. They also make a different set for T55s and T62s as well, which are a little bit different. As you can see inside, we have two different bags. So one has these copper question mark pins, and these are like the actual pins with the pin head, as you'd say. So you can see they're probably like flat on the end. And then these ones here, which are a different material, they have more of a cotter pin style end. So instead of a big flat head, they have like a little ring, and then the kind of the pin sticks a little further. And yeah, so these were shipped from a university, so that might be where they're machining them. I don't know. It's a little bit sketchy, you might say, but they do seem like very good quality. So here we have a couple of the tracks and some of the pins. So I'm going to show you a little bit close what these are like. So these are the pin head style pins. You can see they have an actual flat end. And then these ones over here have a different end, which is supposed to simulate the cotter pin. Now they don't actually fully, they don't go all the way across, so there's a little bit of a gap in the middle, but it doesn't really matter, and these are meant to work with a bunch of different tracks they make. So they've obviously sized them so that they can work with a few different sizes of tracks. But they do, like I've already assembled an entire run here. I'll zoom out a little bit. I think I have about 40 tracks here, and they basically feel like Friuls. There's They've got nice weight to them, so they're going to sag on their own. The pins on either end are, I mean, I guess you would say that it's a little bit more work to put in 2 pins than it is to put in 1 piece of brass rod, but the thing is with the brass rod you have to cut it first. And also, this weekend I did 2 full sets, so 2 tanks, 4 runs worth of Friul Tiger tracks, and a lot of them had to be drilled out because the holes didn't go all the way through. I've done 40 of these, and I've not had to drill out a single one. Every single one has been drilled clean through, and I don't have to do anything. I just basically take the track and just stick the pins in and move on to the next one. It's actually a lot faster than Friul's. I guess I'll give a little demo here. So I've got one track, another track, and I just want to make sure I do this right with the other side I've been doing. Take my little pliers here and my pin, and like I said, it's a little bit tighter than Friul's, but you just gotta pop it in. As you see, that was pretty easy, and then I would usually do about 5 or 6 or 10 or so, and then I flip the whole thing over and then put the pins in like this. And there we go. It's a little bit tricky to sometimes get the end of it in there because it's, my pliers is a little bit wide, but I figured that if you just do that and bend the tracks together, it's easier to get in like this and push the pin in all the way. But so far, like as you saw, that was a lot faster than me with my pin vise when the Friul's trying to drill out the hole and cut the brass rod and jam it in. This is a lot faster. And I've done these 40 tracks in, like, I don't know, it was like 15 minutes or something. Like, it was insanely fast compared to what I've been doing for the rest of the weekend. Now I've cracked open the Panzer III tracks here, or Panzer III 4 tracks, and they also seem very nice. They're drilled through both sides, so there's no molded on pin head. So the same kind of process would be done, except the fact that these pins are like, you obviously can't use both pins on these ones because they're too small. So what I'm probably going to do is just use these pins, or I'm only just going to use like 1 pin, and it's going to go far enough through that it's not going to make the tracks canted. They're not going to start to curve because I'm going through like 80% of it. But I did buy actually a couple. I bought 3 of these sets, so I bought one with the KV and I got a couple more as well on the side. So I'm going to try to see what I can make them work with. Obviously one set's going to be, at least, or I guess half of a set, because I'm only going to use 1 type of pin. It's going to go towards these ones, but they seem equally well molded. There's like no flash on any of them. I think I had a little bit of flash on one of the KV tracks, just inside like where the tooth goes in the drive sprocket, or the drive sprocket tooth would go. But I just like took my Howie knife and scraped it out. It was like 2 seconds. Yeah, so they're well molded. I'm impressed that like something that most people would consider a cheap Chinese knockoff kind of product is actually better molded in terms of the holes than Friulmodel tracks are. So there has been a lot of hype about these recently, and I believe that, at least in part, it is warranted. These are quite nice. So that's about it for today, guys. Trying to keep it brief with this review. I'm just showing you basically these tracks and my thoughts on them. And as you can tell, I'm quite impressed, especially because Friul's are getting very expensive, and these are less expensive, and they're basically equally good. Or, I mean, they ended up being the same price if I bought the pins with them, and that gives me a much faster production time, and actually, I guess you could argue a more realistic result, because you have molded, or not molded, but you have pin detail on either side of the track, instead of on only one side molded on, and then kind of like a brass rod in a hole on the other side. So these are very, very nice. Like I said, if you're interested in buying them, you have to go find our model on eBay, then they send them to you from a university in China. I don't know. Like I said, a little sketchy, but the product is very nice, high quality, or definitely not cheap quality. They're good quality tracks. So, as always, thanks for watching very much. Any questions or comments, post them on below. And as always, huge thanks to the Patreon and PayPal supporters. They give me a little bit of money every month, which helps me buying paints and products and stuff for you guys to see in videos. For example, this right here. So, big thanks to those guys. And also, big thanks to everyone who subscribes and likes and comments and everything like that. Really helps me out. So as always, I will see you next time. Goodbye and happy modeling. See you next time.